Liberty Unfiltered. And here's your host, Steve Long.
Hey folks, it is Liberty Unfiltered, and I am your host, Steve Long. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We are streaming here on Vigilant Liberty Radio, and also picking us up is K98 Talk, as well as the Spark Radio Network. We're going to have a really great show for you tonight. Tonight, my guest is an author, a CEO, a publisher, and a well-known libertarian. Please welcome with me to the show, Mr. Jeffrey Tucker. Hey, Jeff, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, thanks for coming on the show tonight. It's good to have you.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Good, good. You've been a busy man lately.
Yeah, it's true.
So, I wanted to start off with one of the projects that you've got working right now that you founded, I guess just a little over a year or so ago, called LibertyMe.me. When was it that you founded that?
Well, it was a long founding because I think I first conceived of the idea in the spring of 2013, and then I began to sort of shop for some investment money. That took a good part of the summer and the fall, and then we started building. I guess maybe November 1 of 2013, and we didn't finally open our doors until May. But it was a beta project at the time, and only about 3 or 4 weeks ago did we come out with something approaching what we're calling our final release, and it's a much better version. That's the thing you learned about enterprise, is that it's a long process of trial and error. And the beautiful thing about commerce is that you get this constant feedback sense. So you know what's working and what's not. So you're not sort of just blindly developing. You're actually serving a customer base, and that's really what Liberty Me is all about. It's a kind of platform for the global liberty community to publish and to share ideas.
Right, and for those of you out there that don't know what it is, Liberty.me is. It's a social media platform, but it's kind of more than that, wouldn't you say? It's gotten to a point now where it's not just a platform which liberty-minded individuals can talk and share ideas and express views, but it's gotten now to where you have video blogs going on. You have podcasts on there. One of the newer things that I've noticed on there, and I just noticed a couple of months ago, was a library where there's a very large amount of books that you can download.
Mm-hmm. About 150 of them, and we picked only the best classics, so they're all very, very much curated, and they're connected to discussions on the discussion forum. And then we also commissioned a whole series of guides on specific liberty-oriented topics that are designed to do the thing that I really founded the site for, which was a kind of a do-it-yourself liberty. I had gotten frustrated with two conventional strategies within the liberty world. One is political organizing, so that we have to just wait for liberty until we can get the right people elected. I mean, that's a very conventional kind of perspective, and I gave up on that a long time ago.
It's a very frustrating endeavor.
Yeah, it is, and I feel bad. It's funny because I see people fall in love with the idea of human liberty and say, "Oh my God, this is a great idea. This is what makes society work. This is what makes us prosperous. This is what makes life flourish." So what do I do now? Well, we need to get rid of the bad guys and get in some good guys. And people fight that battle for a few years and get frustrated.
It's a very frustrating effort to try to win people over, especially. I don't know about other areas, but I live in the Oklahoma City area, and trying to win the Republican Party over specifically on the idea of liberty is very frustrating.
Yeah. We have a weird mythology as Americans. We think that there's a government or a state, and we understand that. But then we tend to think of the political parties as being somehow like separate from that, like builders or architects, and it's a kind of a team of people that get together based on our votes and kind of hammer away to forge the right policies, which is just not true. I mean, essentially, the political parties are maintained, created by, and maintained by the ruling class, specifically to support the regime as it currently stands. I mean, that's their purpose and function.
Well, you know what? That's a good point you bring up, and I wonder if you can point me in the right direction on a question that's been brought up more and more often. But can you do you know of any historically speaking, any successful society that was pure individual liberty and zero state? I mean, has there ever
any more than you can point to a society where there's never been any thefts or murders? I mean, we live in an imperfect world. It's a matter of the ideals that we have and what direction we're tending towards. What we hope will happen really is ultimately the kind of society we're going to be driving towards. We'll never actually achieve it, and that's fine. But I think back to the American colonial experience as being probably one of the most perfect experiences we've ever had in a decentralized world without a central government, where there was really thriving freedom, and it built the beginnings of a great society. Also, I think about the princely states of Germany in the late 18th century and the early 19th century, where you might have had a lot of local despotisms, but you always had the freedom to move from one to the other, and so there was a competition, and you saw a real beautiful dawning of liberty in that world as well. So, and in more modern times, of course, Hong Kong continues to be probably one of the most least intrusive governments in the world. You have other cases like Singapore is a similar situation, and I don't know how much you travel, but one of the things that strikes Americans who travel abroad is how little of the government actually intrudes into people's lives in places like Costa Rica or New Zealand. These are places that I've spent a lot of time, and I'm impressed at just the existence of what life looks like without a government that's even obvious in your life at all. In so many ways, people credit government for the fact that we have order. I think it's just wrong.
You're right. I've never been to Central America, but I have actually. You mentioned Singapore. I did spend some time there, and it's an interesting society they have over there. It's very heavily capitalist. I mean, it's for lack of a better term, really.
But it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so. I don't. I mean, I was at the time when I was there, I was in the service. So where I was living at the time was, of course, there was some government, but outside that area, it was almost like you didn't see any government out there at all.
No.
Now that you mention it, it's
yeah. Well, and I think Americans, we're very strange people because we like to imagine that we're free, but life has changed dramatically over the last 15 years in the United States, and it's changed like quickly and dramatically, but in ways that we don't entirely discern, or at least in ways that we adapt to very quickly. And it strikes you when you travel abroad, and by abroad I mean practically anywhere, just how much freer nearly everywhere feels compared with the U.S. these days. I mean, we're, all of our local governments are heavily now funded through police that are collecting traffic fines all the time and arresting people all the time. And we've got a very large prison state. Governments just all around us. it drives me absolutely nuts. And when I travel abroad, you find yourself sort of feeling a sense of being able to breathe free for the first time. And I don't mean just countries that are objectively freer than the U.S., like Australia, New Zealand, and Canada nowadays even. But I mean places like Austria, where you wouldn't think, that's sort of socialistic, but while there might be a lot, a heavy tax burden, that sort of thing, you don't have the nanny state just driving you crazy like you do in the U.S.
Yeah, and you're right. It has gotten worse. And
this is part of what drives me crazy. I mean, this sort of worsening of freedom. And the question is, what are we going to do about it? And I think politics is just not a very good path forward for us. I think we keep trying that, and we keep being tricked. Another thing that I think is a good thing, but it's limited, is this sort of educational campaigns that libertarians have always been on, Mm-hmm. And while I think education is good, I don't think it's enough. I'm really interested in an action-based liberty.
And that's a lot, I think, of what, at least from my perspective, what Liberty.me is all about. It's not only about education, but it's also about getting people engaged and getting people active. But you're right. Libertarians can only do so much by educating people about liberty. They've got to get up and actually do something. And of course, like I said, the question is, what is it that we do? What are we going to do as libertarians?
Yeah, and I think that's what Liberty.me is all about. I mean, one is to more wisely protect yourself against the intrusions of the state. So we have guides for dealing with cops and that sort of thing. I have a guide on there on hacking your house so that you can have a well-functioning house without complying with all the regulations, which is certainly illegal. A lot of our products are shipped in compliance with federal regulations, but are sort of reduced in their functionality, and you can hack them and do good things for them. You can be wiser in your money management. Stay out of debt and move to places with lower tax burdens. I mean, these are the kinds of practical things that people can do to make their own lives freer. And there's a lot you can do just by declining to go along with the central plan and being non-compliant wisely, but just not sort of always deferring. Being aware that you're being badgered and pushed around to do unwise things, being aware of that and running the contrary direction, you can actually, improve the amount of freedom you have in your own life.
And I think that's one of the biggest, I won't say problems, but that's the best word I can think of off the top of my head, with engaging people involved in politics, is making them aware of how much their liberties are being taken away.
Oh, it really is. People are not aware. People think that we're more or less free, but it's just not true. So much of what we do in the course of our lives is determined by a kind of de facto central plan. I think about when you have children, you face this very much. Even from the time you leave the hospital, you've got the state's clause, in you, in terms of all the mandates you have to face, and then you face a lot of pressure. You stick them in public daycare and
public schools,
public schools right away, and encourage them to sort of fit in with everybody else, be part of the great collective. Don't get too far ahead. You graduate from high school, go into deep debt for college, and so on. And it's a problem. It's a problem for people because unless you're willing to think outside the plan, chances are at some point in your life you're going to bump into a brick wall and go, "Oh my God, they lied to me. This life is not working out the way I wanted to." And this happens to so many young people, and I think it's just so sad.
But it's really great to see when those people wake up. It's it's very fulfilling in a way.
Yeah, I know so many young people who woke up and just realized, oh my God, I have just done so many dumb things for so long, gone along, done everything I was supposed to do, and it didn't work out for me. Now what am I going to do? And this is a lot of what Liberty.me is focused on. So, for example, we have a guide that really examines in detail the Free State Project, which